This is an express train, and the next stop is TMG.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to TMG. I'm your host, Travis Patton Sr. I enjoy discovering and sharing real-life moments of inspiration from everyday people. And this show is about finding moments of inspiration for our everyday lives. And look, and if you're going to tell me something, then tell me something good. Hello, everybody, and welcome to a brand new episode of TMG. I'm your host, Travis Patton Sr. Real quick, guys, don't forget to visit our Facebook page. That's Tell Me Something Good with the capital T. And before we get started, as always, I want to give a big, huge shout out to my best supporter and my biggest fan, my lovely wife, Nicole. Nicole, I know you're watching, girl. I know you're listening, and that's your shout out for the day. Hey, Nicole, how you doing? Guys, listen, in a very short time, this show has taken off, and it's being heard in countries all around the world like China, Japan, Nepal, Vietnam, the Philippines, guys, Ukraine, and all over the world. I want to take the time to tell everyone thank you for tuning in. And if you've been tuning in each week right here at 4 p.m. Central Standard Time, that's 5 p.m. Eastern, was it 3 p.m. Mountain Time, 2 p.m. Pacific Time, right here live on Facebook, guys, each week. Let me tell you, thank you for joining in. And maybe this is your first time tuning in, your first time listening. Maybe someone told you about the show and you said, you know what? I'll give it a try. Well, if this is your first time tuning in, let me tell you, thank you. I'm so glad you decided to join the show today, guys. I'm super excited to be here today, as always. You know I am. You say that all the time, Travis. You're always excited. Yeah, I try to be excited each time, guys. I want to talk to you today about something that I know most of us may have struggles with it. I've had struggle with it before in my lifetime, but I've learned to gain upper hand on it, so to speak. So I want to talk about some things today, but today's topic, guys, we want to talk about drip, drip. Yeah, today's topic is drip, drip. That's what we're going to talk about today, guys. So let's dive in. Let's get started, guys. Here's a question I want to ask you. I got to get started with this. Who do you know, or who is the most consistent person that you know? I want to know who is the most consistent person that you know. Who do you know that you would say is consistent or a consistent person? I mean, they are either always at work or at school. They seem to never take a day off. They are just the poster child, of consistency. And honestly, it's almost nauseating to hear people describe them as being consistent. Like they're the only person in the world who's good at it. Do you know anybody who is that consistent? I mean, each time you see them, they are just this epitome, this dictionary definition of the word consistent. It's almost nauseating, right? Every time someone describes them, the first word that comes out their mouth is, oh, they're consistent, they're consistent, they're consistent. And it leaves you wondering in the back of your mind, well, what am I doing? Kind of leaves you wondering in the back of your mind, like, are they the only person in the world that can be consistent? Listen, to be honest with us, and to be honest, guys, we all have experience in being consistent. Yeah, we all have experience in being consistent in something. Most go to work or school consistently. And if you are hearing this or viewing it, I know you are still here. So you are consistent in eating. You're not missing too many meals. There hasn't been too many intervals between meals, right? So we are consistent in something. So most of us already, or many of us already, have experience in being consistent in something. Most go to work, like I said, or school on a consistent basis. And like I said, if you're still here and you're listening to this message, it's not too many intervals in between meals. So you're consistent in eating. So we already have something. And if we have a favorite TV program, we are consistent and consistently watching it enough to know the characters' names, the setting of the show, kind of where and when it takes place, and what time and channel it comes on. I know I do. I have my favorite TV programs that I know what channel they come on. I know what time they come on. I know the characters' names, and I know the setting, or I know when the show kind of takes place, and a lot of us, and we do all of these things mostly without thinking about them, and honestly, without much coercion. So it doesn't take much for us to remember these things, or remember our favorite characters in these TV shows. Doesn't take a whole lot to remember these things and remember them on a consistent basis. Doesn't take a whole lot for someone to remind us that on Tuesday nights our favorite show comes, or on Thursday evenings our favorite television program comes on. Doesn't take a whole lot of coercion and remembering that those things that we are consistent about. The point that I'm making is we are already consistent in something. Yeah, we are already consistent in something. So why does the word consistent sometimes conjure up images in our minds of something that's impossible for us to do, when most times we are already consistent in doing it? And the things that we are consistent with, we weren't consistent with at first. Think about it. For example, the job we may have now, you weren't consistent in showing up until you were hired. Or our favorite TV shows that we just mentioned, we weren't consistent at watching them until someone either told us about them or we found out about them some other way. So the ability to be consistent truly lies in all of us. Yeah, it's in all of us. And I know we hear the word consistent and we get this picture of a mind of something that we can't do when we are already being consistent. So the ability to be consistent lies in all of us. But that's not the real question, is it? That's not the real question we want to ask ourselves. The real question, what we really would like to know, is where the disconnect comes in. When we notice someone else being consistent in something that we would like to do, or displaying consistency in their life the way we would like to, what we really want to know is, why aren't we just like them? That's what we really want to know. Why aren't we just like them? Why can't I be just like them? Why can't I be just like this person, or my family member who's consistent, or my supervisor, or my boss that is consistent, or consistent like some celebrity or consistent like some major head of a Fortune 500 corporation. The true question is, why aren't we just like them? Why aren't we displaying the same intensity and degree of consistency that someone else is? The answer does not lie in that they are smarter than we are. The answer is not that they are better equipped all the time. The answer is not that they have more resources than we have, or they have more time to practice than we do. The answer lies between the drips. Drip, drip. Life occurs in between the drips. Drip, drip. Listen, it does not matter as much how well we begin something as it does what we do after we begin something. Drip, drip. Because life occurs in between the drips. We begin something and then we begin to encounter setbacks after setbacks. Isn't it how it starts? We begin something and we begin to encounter one setback after the other. And we allow the setbacks to keep us from what got us started in the first place. Yeah, we allow the setbacks to keep us from what got us started. And they begin to slow our drip. We start off great, or we even have a great idea, and we share it with someone who does not believe that we can accomplish it. We listen to what they believe about us, and we listen to what they say. And it doesn't turn your drip completely off. It just slows it down enough until we begin doubting it ourselves. We tell our drip to someone who doesn't believe that we can accomplish it, that we can do it. And it doesn't stop our drip. It just slows it down long enough until we start believing what they said about us. Until we start believing what they said about our drip. It doesn't completely turn it off, just slows it down enough until we begin doubting it ourselves. So if we want to keep our consistency, if we want to be consistent, if we want to keep consistency going, here's the first thing. We can't drip on everybody. Some people you can share things with, but some people just have to find out and witness it once it happens. Listen, you can't drip on everyone. And you would think if you're going to begin something great or exciting, that everyone would be excited for you. In an ideal world, yes, that is true. In an ideal world, yes, everyone would be excited. If you tell someone, look, I'm going to write a book, then you would, in an ideal world, you would think that someone would applaud that, and they would encourage you, and they would stand behind you, and they would say yes, and if there's anything I can do for you, I'm willing to join in with you. In an ideal world, yes, they would. You would think it would be that way. But we don't live in an ideal world now, do we? And we don't interact with ideal people all the time. So, if you want to keep your drip going, be careful who you drip on. Yeah, you gotta be careful who you drip on. Be careful who you drip on, because whatever cannot stop your drip, it will look to slow it down. Let me say that again. Whatever can't stop your drip will look to slow it down. For example, things like wrong perceptions about individuals, or having a wrong perception about ourselves. Yeah, those things can slow down your drip. Negative perceptions, guys. Negative perspectives. Outdated ideals and beliefs. So having negative perspectives and outdated ideals and beliefs. I once heard someone say, we cannot open new doors using old keys. These will slow down our drip. Improper relationships we know are unhealthy. These all slow down our drip because life happens in between the drip. Drip, drip. Life happens in between the drips. Drip, drip. Consistency is fueled. Consistency is fueled by remembering why we start in the first place. Consistency is fueled by remembering why we start. It can be fed by having and developing a good support system around us. Whether it's family or trusted friends, it might even come from a complete stranger. Sometimes you'll get more support from someone that does not look like you than you will from someone that you are most familiar with. Let me say that again. Sometimes we will get more support from someone that does not look like us, sound like us, have the same background as us, and more than we do from someone who is a total stranger. So let me ask you this question, guys. First, I want to put up a picture of something. Actually, it's a video. I want to show a very short video of something, guys, and then I want to ask a question. Watch this really short video. Have you ever had a faucet that dripped all night? Have you ever heard a faucet that dripped all night? Some of you know exactly what I'm talking about. A faucet that just kept going all night. It just dripped all night. We get up and try to turn it off as tightly as we can, but it still drips. It's still dripping. And sometimes it's not the drip. Get this, guys. Sometimes it's not the drip that drives us crazy, right? Sometimes it's not the drip that drives us mad. It's not the drip that makes us get up. Sometimes it's not the drip that makes us get up. It's the quiet pause or the break in between one drip and the next. It's the break in between one drip and the next. Because from one drip to the next, in between the drips, we try to sleep or live our lives or try to become the person we want to become or try and pursue our careers or raise our families. So, in between the drip, we also have to wait. Consistency. How can we remain consistent when we have to wait? Consistent doesn't mean you're consistent doesn't mean you are necessarily always doing something. Let's first put that out there. Consistency doesn't mean you are always necessarily doing something. So you can be consistent and not necessarily always doing something. That just means you're busy. Could just means you're overworked, busy. Consistency doesn't mean you're always necessarily doing something. It means our approach towards something is that we are always ready when we have to. Yeah, consistency has to do with our approach towards something. It means our approach towards something is that I'm always ready if I have to do something. Look at it this way. Let's look at it this way, okay? Look at it this way. When you picture, remember the video I just showed you of the faucet dripping? It's just one drop after the next drop, one drip after the next drip, one drip, then another drip. One drip comes and then another drip comes right behind it. Look at it this way. When you picture a faucet that is dripping, listen, after one drip falls, another drip is already being prepared to drip behind it. Even before we see it. Even before we see it happens. And usually it happens right when we believe that the drip was stopping. Here comes another drip. Right when you believe the drip was stopping, here comes another drip. This is how we should be when we have to wait. This is how we should be when we have to wait. Getting prepared for the next drip. Yeah, when you have to wait, it doesn't mean you do nothing. It means you get prepared for the next drip. Listen, when we are in that pause moment, we are in that break moment, it doesn't mean we do absolutely nothing. It means we get prepared for the next drip. I am a firm believer in positive confession and positive affirmation. If you're listening to me, if you're watching me, you should begin to just say it to yourself. I'm prepared for the next drip. You're not just doing nothing. You're not just sitting on your hands and wishing something would happen. You're not just hoping something would happen and doing nothing about it. Get prepared for the next drip. Listen, it doesn't mean we do nothing. Get prepared for the next drip. It's okay to let them believe that your drip has stopped. It's okay if they believe you have nothing left. You know why? Because you don't have to prove anything to anyone, because most people we feel that we have to prove something to are busy themselves trying to prove something to someone else. So just when they believe your drip has stopped, there you go, dripping again. Just when they thought there was nothing left in your tank, there you go, dripping again. Just when they said you've seen your best days, there you go, dripping again. Just when they said what they were going to say, there you go, dripping again. Just when they posted what they did on social media about you, there you go, dripping again. You don't have to prove anything to anyone. Listen, I am a firm believer in not posting everything that you do on social media. Yeah, I'm a firm believer. Don't post everything that you do on social media. Sometimes you should just surprise them. Yeah, sometimes you should just pull off a surprise. It's your moment to pull off a surprise. Maybe this is the time that you surprise yourself and see you've got more in you, that you see that you not dried up. Drip, drip. And if you are listening to this, I believe that there is another drip in you. Yeah, I don't believe that your last drip was your last drip. I believe that there is another drip in you. If you're listening to me, if you're watching this right now, put this in chat. Go ahead and just type it in chat. Say it to yourself. There's another drip in me. Yeah, I'm not through yet. Listen, you haven't seen your best days. You haven't done your best work. You haven't had your best idea. You are not through dripping just yet. There is another drip in you. Consistent, consistency. I'm going to drip. You know what consistent means? I'm going to drip while I wait. Just because there's been a break in between your last drip does not mean we should stop. Yeah, just because there's a break in between your last drip does not mean we should stop. It means we are in preparation for the next drip. If there has been a pause or a break in between your last drip, it just means you're in preparation for your next drip. Listen, the pandemic has put a pause on a lot of things. A lot of individuals were doing well before the pandemic hit, and it placed a lot of us on pause, put a lot of our ideas we had on pause, on a break. It does not mean you should stop. It means you are in preparation for the next drip, the next idea, the next book, the next big move, the next right, the next thing that you're trying to move into, the next drip. Consistency. We talked about remembering what made us begin in the first place. Then we talked about developing a good support system around us, even if it has to come from complete strangers or from someone you don't know that well. Part of our frustration comes from we want people to support us that we know, that we're familiar with, but they don't want to support us. And we get frustrated and we stop. And we stop our drip. Then we said, realize that there is more in us. Life happens in between the drips. I've watched water drip. Have you ever watched water drip before? I have. I've watched water drip, and sometimes it would just hang there like it was too afraid or like it was too scared to fall. Sometimes we may not feel as confidently as other moments in our lives. We may not feel like we even deserve it or that it will even work out at all. But we can never be for sure if we don't drip at all. A lot of the frustration we have when we see someone else being consistent in ways that we want to be is not because we think they are better than us. It's not because we necessarily believe that they are smarter than we are. Right? It's not because we necessarily believe that. It's because we realize we haven't done enough. The reason their drip gets on our nerves is because we haven't created a loud enough drip of our own to pay attention to. Yeah, let me say that again. The reason their drip gets on our nerves is because we haven't created a loud enough drip of our own to pay attention to. It's not a competition, but if we create our own drip, we will be too busy to maintaining our drip to be frustrated over someone else's drip. Find what you are good at. Discover what you like to do and drip. 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 Guys, it's that time, and as always, it's been a real blast. Look, don't forget to visit our Facebook page. That's Tell Me Something Good with the capital T. And as always, you can tune in right here each week, 4 p.m. Central Standard Time, live on Facebook. That's 5 p.m. Eastern, guys. 3 p.m. Mountain Time, 2 p.m. Pacific Time, right here, Facebook Live, guys. And as always, you can stream in on your favorite streaming podcast platform or music platform like Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Pandora, Audible, and so many more. Before I get out of here, guys, don't forget, as always, if you're going to tell me something, then tell me something good. I'm out of here. Peace.